It's a series of wild weeks, man. Agreed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Serious. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
My head's in more of a fog than it normally is. Hello? Is this thing on?
Jesus Christ, what are you doing over there, old man?
No apologies, no safe spaces. This is Savaged Unfiltered. Just the cold, hard, conservative truth.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to catch up, man, with the political scene, man. This week, you got, just coming off of this past weekend, which, I mean, I'm glad everybody is okay there up in Washington. The White House Correspondents' Dinner basically was, I mean, hijacked by a maniac, more or less.
That was bizarre. And of course, the liberals, they have just increased their insanity.
Yeah.
Not those people. I don't know what is wrong with them. I was listening to that drugstore Obama. What's his name? Hakeem Olajuwon, whatever he is.
You're talking about Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah.
I think that what's interesting to me, as you pointed out, is that the so-called White House press secretary, who's a disgrace, he's a stone-cold liar, had the nerve to stand up there and read talking points being critical of statements all taken out of context that Democrats have made and didn't have a word to say about anything that MAGA extremists have said or done, including providing aid and comfort to violent insurrectionists here at this Capitol on January 6th, who brutally beat police officers. The president then...
What a nut job that guy is. I mean, I don't
get the problem is these people are literally hypocrites, obviously. I mean, they'll say one thing, for talking points to try to set the narrative, to control the narrative, more or less, in their liberal world.
Right.
And then they'll come out like they never even said it. I seen that interview with Jeffries, and Jeffries was like, well, of course I don't want violence. We have to come together. And then you see 2 days prior, he's organizing an event called Maximum Warfare.
As it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
It's like they don't realize that we can go to the video. I don't know. That's not what I said. Roll the video. I mean, it's like they don't understand that everything is documented now. And, I know they got the media on their side to whitewash everything, and to clean it all up. But it's there. It's all out there. And we can
the problem is here. Okay. The problem is the question I have to ask. You don't think this is going to get picked up by, somebody listening, like that nut job Cole Allen? You don't think he was listening to that whole event that you orchestrated, Hakeem? Okay. You orchestrated an event with drastic, radical measures saying maximum warfare. You had the president of the United States on that poster, and then you had literally words in the bottom saying every day, and then I forgot what else it had, some stupid shit on the bottom. You don't think that's gonna attract somebody that doesn't have a clear conscience, that thinks rationally? They don't think this.
They don't. The key there is they don't think. Period. They don't think. Period. And what on top of that, they think everybody's dumb. They think that everybody's dumb. The normal American walking the streets, we're stupid. We don't understand. That's where they're making their big mistake, because we know a lot more than what they think. And we know a lot more of what's going on. We see them and we hear what they're saying. We can comprehend the spoken English language where they can't. We see what they say. We hear what they say. We see what their signs say. and we know where they're coming from. But they go, oh no, that's not what I meant. That's what you said. And it's just irritating. But Michael, the thing that irritates me more than anything is this stinking lack of accountability. Where's the media? Why isn't the media jumping down that guy's throat and calling him on this stuff? Why are they so dumb? They're not making anybody on the left. They're not making anybody accountable for all this crap and hate that they're saying.
That's what we have to get back in this country is accountability. And I'm not talking about just accountability from a certain class of Americans, whether you're old, you're young, you're middle-aged. I'm talking about accountability across the entire board. We need to bring common sense back into this nation. We need to start electing people on principles and policies rather than personalities. I don't care if she or he looks good on a poster, especially today, Tom, with AI. I mean, you can dress everything really nice, okay?
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I don't care how good they look. All I care about is what they can do for our country and steer in the right direction, away from this radical regime of this woke virus, because that's what's tearing our country apart. And I want to speak on that a little bit, but joining us today, guys, we have a special guest, Mr. Dillon Fillion. He's actually running for District 81 for Iowa House. Dillon, welcome into the program. How you doing, sir?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Dillon, before we kind of, dig into, your political agendas and your messages and what you want to bring, not only for the state of Iowa, but obviously most likely for the rest of the country. And if you get elected, for the rest of your colleagues up in Washington, D.C. How do you see the temperament? Let's start with the temperament right now, because the temperament is very high in this nation, sir.
It is. Just as correction, I'm running for the state house, not federal house. Maybe someday, but
yeah.
However, the sentiment in this country is very, very heated right now, and I can attest to that because I was actually out door knocking a few weeks ago, and I happened to knock on a person's door who was a so-called registered Republican, which he wasn't. He was just a registered Republican so he could vote in the closed primary. And I had a conversation with him, and he proceeded to tell me, after I was there trying to campaign for my state house race, he eventually got to me where I just was sick and tired of his anti-Trump stuff. And I was like, I asked the question, do you think it's okay to kill your political opponent? And he said yes. And he said that he believed that Charlie Kirk's assassination was justified. And he said he wished the bullet didn't miss Donald Trump's ear. So isn't that insane? These are the people that we are dealing with in this society. And if we do not confront the evil that is at hand and start holding people accountable, like you said, we are going to have eventually a war down the road. I hate to say that, but there has to be accountability, and we have to start electing people who will bring that accountability. And that starts with your legislators and goes down to the county level.
So true. So true.
Yeah. And if we're not there already, like you said, what it's going to lead up to a war. I mean, we're pretty much there, folks. I mean, literally we're trending on thin lines there on the ice. I
am so close, Mike. You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for I want to know when the start of the hunting season is and what's the bag limit. That's how close I am. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with these people threatening me. I'm fed up with these people saying if they see me on the street, they're going to put a shotgun in my face and I'm going to kill you because you're a Trumper and this and that. It's like, you know what?
Well,
let's
hold on.
go.
let me scale back a little bit. All right. I want to take a little playbook from President Trump. We have to remind even the emotions and the tensions do rise on the conservative Republican Party. Okay. I do have to, take a playbook that he said back during January 6th. Folks, we are a party of peace, law, dignity, and honor. We must not escalate to that tension because that's what they want, folks. The radical left, they want us to get to that level of toxicity because they feed off of it. And they feel that if they edge us and they edge us and they push us and push us and push us, they're going to break our spirit and our character. And we cannot have that. We have to be better than that. I mean, wouldn't you agree to that, Dillon?
I totally agree with that, but I think it's also good to acknowledge that we are also fighting against evil. If we just look at, I tell people this all the time, it's a fight against good versus evil, and they ask, well, Dillon, how is that what we're fighting against? Well, how I know that is because just take a step back and look at the issues we're battling here. Look at every single policy that the Democrat Party has introduced over the past 10 years, and you tell me whether or not it is evil. Like, look at California. Look at what they passed. I think 2 or 3 years ago now, Gavin Newsom signed a law that literally allows a kid to tell a teacher that, I think I'm getting this right, if the kid wants to transition into another gender, they don't have to tell their parents. And basically the state of California can take the kid away from the parent without the parent even consenting on it. It's insane. This is the type of evil we're fighting against. And 10 years ago, if we were talking about this, this would be insanity. But here's the thing is, we are not in that world anymore. We are in such a different world. Ever since COVID happened, we have been in such a different world, and we have been dealing with so much other issues. I mean, Joe Biden literally opened up the border, and now we have high threats of terrorism in our country because we had our border open for 4 years. And unfortunately, that creates terror cells. We have some terror cells in this nation. And I bet you the FBI has taken a good look at that. And we've literally thwarted tons of terrorist plots before Thanksgiving and even before Christmas. So I pray to God that we can find these bad people and put them behind bars and give them the justice that needs to happen, because it's seriously it's a scary time in our country, but I believe we can get through it.
You mentioned something just briefly before with COVID, which I believe ever since the COVID era, let me put this on the record here, folks. I don't believe it was a pandemic. I believe it was a plan-demic.
I forgot to correct it. It was a plan-demic.
Well, I mean, that's okay, Dillon. I'm just saying, like, the era of COVID was injected into this country like a virus, like a cancer cell ripping off of our spirit to tear us apart, to take us away from what we are supposed to be focusing on: success, the pursuit of happiness, all of that. All those words, I just recited a little bit, folks, but all those words are on Lady Liberty out there in the Hudson River there in New York. That's what we should be focusing on, this nation, not focusing on, going out in the streets and causing mayhem and ruckus and holding up stupid signs. I mean, for what? What does that do? It's wasting your time. I want to comment a little bit what you said there too. There was a gentleman down in Florida, an immigrant actually. This was in Orlando. My good friend down there, Caitlin Bennett. She runs Liberty Hangout. She interviewed this man, okay, and he said, "Why are these people out here on a Saturday afternoon referencing the No Kings protests when they should be worrying about more things? Taking care of their families, providing for their families, contributing to society. Not this. This isn't contributing to society. This is bullshit. That's what he said. And this is coming from somebody that wasn't even born in this nation. I mean, is COVID to be blamed? Yes. Do I trust what's in the COVID shots? No, I don't. And I don't think anybody should trust what's in that. And I think it's literally making the people in this nation psychotic.
I do too.
I totally agree with that. And I want to mention one thing too, because we talk about making change and we talk about the Republican Party. I love the people who are passionate and want to get involved and are pissed off at what's going on. My suggestion to you being pissed off is that we have got to turn our anger into action in regard to getting involved in the Republican Party and changing the party for the good. As in getting good candidates elected who will stand up for the America First platform that we have been parroting since 2016. We need to elect good Republicans, and the only way to do that is if we have Republican voters participating in the process and participating in the Republican primaries. Because if you look at a lot of these states like Florida, you look at a lot of these states like West Virginia, their election is the primary. And if you don't get a good Republican elected during that primary season, you are going to be stuck with that so-called Lisa Murkowski or who's a rhino in the House, Maria Salazar. You're going to be stuck with those people if we don't have people actively participating in the process. And I have been a huge advocate for people being able to participate in the Republican primary. But people have got to engage with the process and stop acting like they don't care. I understand primaries happen during summer. I mean, listen, I love summer. I love going outside. But here's the thing is, if you want to save your country, you have got to participate in the process. I'm not saying you have to go make a Facebook post and endorse a candidate. But however, I'm asking you to participate in your Republican primary, be a registered Republican, and know who to vote for. And if you don't know who to vote for, maybe reach out to a friend. Or if you don't have a friend, go do your research online. Yeah. If you don't have the time, I don't know what to. If you don't have the time, do your research. Look up some of these people. Know what they voted for. I'm not going to go on, but however, we need to all participate in the Republican primary. And us Republicans and common sense minded people in this nation have a responsibility. And that is to participate in the Republican primary and vote in every election.
Yeah. I mean, Tom, what's your views on this, buddy? I mean, what Dillon just said, I mean, would you agree to that, or was there others that he didn't touch or that you'd like to comment on, or?
Well, he's right on the aspect of getting, we have way too many people in this country that don't take voting seriously. They don't know the candidates.
It's really sad.
They don't know the candidates. They're I'm just going to vote in the main election. I'm not going to vote in the primaries. We got people that won't even vote on school board issues. They won't vote for their school boards. And this getting involved goes all the way down to the local levels. You've got to get involved. You don't like how your schools are being run? Get involved. You got to look who you're voting for. I ran for school board when I was younger, because I didn't like the way the schools were for my kids. And we just have to get involved. We can't sit back. Okay, so everybody's upset because this SAVE Act is being, just being stopped. They're not, and they're, I guess we're just going to turn everything over to the Democrats then in the midterms. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You need to get out and vote in the midterms.
You bring up the SAVE Act. There's something that troubles me with that. And let's talk about the SAVE Act, but let's also talk about the filibuster. What's your views on that, Dillon? You think that that's a blockade right now affecting the SAVE Act?
Well, first off, I think the filibuster was not made to stop legislation. That's first off, it's not made to do that. The filibuster was made to facilitate debate and to make it equal on both sides. That was the whole point of the filibuster, from what I understand, from what I've been reading from Mike Lee, and he has a very good wealth of knowledge on the Senate rules. I don't have a good wealth of knowledge on the Senate rules, but however, what I will say is that the filibuster should not be holding up good legislation. That's not the whole point of the filibuster. And John Thune has been informed by people like Mike Lee and great senators in the U.S. Senate of how to facilitate a debate, which then, if we facilitate a standing filibuster, which under the Senate rules is actually okay, then all we have to do is have a simple majority vote on that legislation, from what I understand. And I don't see why we're not doing that. It just boggles my mind why John Thune is not hustling to do that if he's so serious about beating Democrats, because I just saw a recent interview of his where he just said, oh, I'm not focused on attacking Republicans, I'm focused on beating Democrats. Well, if you're focused on beating Democrats, then you should start focusing on passing legislation. Because the SAVE Act saves our elections. And if we do not get the corruption that we know out of our elections, then Republicans probably may not have an opportunity again to win.
Well, I mean, you're not the only one that has said that. I mean, President Trump is pressuring this as we speak, and I'm sure he still is to this day. He's mentioned this time after time after time.
I love President Trump. I don't see why President Trump hasn't brought John Thune into the White House and say, hey, why aren't we getting this done? We got to win the Senate back. We got to win the House back. I don't see why he hasn't brought John Thune in the Senate into the room with him and be like, hey, like, we need to get this passed. I don't know what the heck is wrong with you guys, but we need to do something about this.
Well, Dillon, in all fairness, we don't know that Trump hasn't done that. I mean,
I would like to know. I don't know if he's done that or not. But here's the thing: is I would like to ask about that, and also as well, why didn't the administration pressure the president to reconvene the Senate and the House to get the SAVE Act done? Because the president in the Constitution has the power to do that. And the Senate shouldn't have taken a 2-week break, because the Senate doesn't deserve a 2-week break. They haven't done anything. They haven't gotten his appointees approved, and they haven't gotten any of the important stuff done.
Well, they're putting the pressure on. There's been lots of pressure. I mean, I will give, to an extent there with the pressure, with the shutdown, obviously last year going into this year with different departments being affected. So I'm sure there's some pressure points, but that shouldn't stop them from doing their job. No. I mean, you have to pressure. You have to pressure that even more. Is there members of the cabinet that might be compromised? God, I hope not. But if they are compromised by any forms, he should hold 1 second, if I may, Dillon. He should go back to the original term, his first term, where he did a lot of shakeups in his cabinet. There was a lot of members, being taken away, going into other roles here and there. He's done a little bit with that, with different people up into his second term, with a few other members of the cabinet. Do that, President Trump. If you feel that nothing is getting done, remove them so things can get done.
Right.
I mean, why is that so hard to comprehend? I know the president has a good comprehension when it comes to doing things. He's the best person to do it. That's why we elected him. But he's not getting this done because I feel in my heart there may be some compromising in that. I don't know, Dillon. Maybe you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, buddy.
I don't understand. I think the president should use every single lever to his advantage, which is the Constitution, and he should have reconvened the Senate and the House back together to make sure we get this shutdown done. in my personal opinion, if you don't get something done by the end of your shift at work, then you should stay extra to make sure that stuff.
You're listening to The Old Man and Michael on Spotify.
Because if that doesn't get done, you're basically leaving it for the next
Savaged
person.
all day, every day.
And that's a problem. And personally, in my opinion, I don't think the Senate or the House should be able to go home until either a shutdown is not shut down anymore, or some important thing is done.
Well, the shutdown, we would have never had the shutdown to begin with if the Democrats, weren't putting in their. I'll say it, folks. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm a shockcaster. It's a different thing with me. I'm bred from a different type of species of casters here. But if they didn't inject their un-American agendas, because everything that they're putting into these shutdowns are un-American. Oh, what about the illegals? What about them? They're not American. I'm sorry. You want me to have a heart? I'll have a heart to an extent. But if they're breaking laws and they're doing things not American type style of doing it, then you're not going to get a heart from me. I'm sorry. That's not American first.
I have a little bit of a different view on what you said there. If we knew the Democrats were going to oppose our proposals, which are simple common sense down the middle things like, I don't know, closed borders, safe elections, funding for DHS, funding the government in general. I mean, that's just a simple thing you should do.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Dillon. I broke that down, buddy. Yeah, I just broke it down just a little bit, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
Well, it's just I'm talking about Leader Thune, because this shutdown ultimately comes on Leader Thune. Here's why I say that, is that he knew the Democrats were going to do what they were going to do. Okay, so if you knew what they were going to do, then you should have put the SAVE Act in the funding bill and then eliminate the filibuster and get the sucker passed to Trump's desk and get a sign and look at the Democrats and be like, you want to play that game? Because the Democrats are going to play that game anyway. We all knew they're going to play that game. So you know what? Like, I'd rather Leader Thune grow a spine and be like, they're going to do it anyway, so let's just do it. I mean, like, we all know the Democrats, God forbid if they ever get power in the Senate, we all know that they're going to eliminate the filibuster and pass the most radical legislation I think this country's ever seen. We all know that.
The thing is with Thune that I don't understand is everybody goes, well, he should be replaced. They should replace and get new leadership. Well, you guys in the Senate have that authority. People say, well, we need 5 senators to get on board with this. Okay.
That is correct.
You can't get 5 senators to do it? I mean, come on. Everybody there is, in my opinion, is worthless. Except for you got a few, but even the ones that are speaking out, like Mike Lee and, these other senators that are speaking out. Well, okay, Mike Lee will get 4 other guys, get this done, get Thune out of there, get somebody else in. Everybody is dragging their feet. And I don't get this.
Well, that's the problem here. Real quick. Here's the problem. They're good at coming up with agendas, the Republican Party, right? That will benefit this country going forward. But what they're not good about is fighting. We can't fight for shit, folks. I mean, because we're allowing this to slip right through. We're allowing distractions that have sometimes nothing to do with what the hell the argument is about. We just let the distraction come right in. Oh, okay. No, it's not okay. Ink and paper, folks. That's all it takes. Ink and paper.
Here's the problem I think we run into in regard to that replacing Thune thing, which by the way, I'm for replacing Thune, but if we're going to replace somebody, we also got to have a plan B on how we're going to do that, because Leader Thune currently is, we all know he's establishment. We all know who's a Trump hater. We all know that. But here's the thing is, we need to have somebody to replace him. And I think from what I know, the majority of the conference has to vote in favor of that person. Well, here's the thing is, as much as I would like to have a Rick Scott or a Josh Hawley or a Ted Cruz, I would like to have one of those people, or John Kennedy. I would like John Kennedy. He would be great. But here's the thing is, I don't know if those people would be able to get the votes because unfortunately the establishment has the majority in that Senate conference. And you would have to convince those people to vote for those people, which I don't think they're going to vote for them either way. That's how we ended up with Leader Thune, because those establishment people, Rick Scott, those establishment people were like to the America First Trump wing, were like, hey, we got the majority here. You guys don't have the numbers, so you might as well vote for Thune, or else you guys are probably going to lose your committeeships. You guys are probably going to lose some authority here.
Yeah.
So that's what the establishment is doing. And us as an America First wing got to look at that and be like, you know what? We should get better candidates in the Republican primary.
Exactly.
And then primary these people. That's how the job needs to get done.
I agree.
Again,
I agree with that.
if we're not going to participate in the Republican primary, we do not have the right to complain about what happens in the Senate. Because listen, I understand if you voted in the general election, that's great. We need Republicans. But here's the thing is, if we don't have the right Republicans in the Senate, the good things that we all want are not going to get done. So at the end of the day, you need to participate in the process and you need to vote.
But here's the deal with the Senate. You've got the majority of Americans want that SAVE Act passed. It's proven in all the polls. So I don't care about these established senators. They are not representing their constituents. They're not.
I agree.
And they're, you know, they're just putting their thumb up. They're just thumbing their nose to all their constituents saying, we run this country, not you guys. That's the problem with our government. We have gotten away from a representative. We've gotten away from a republic. And here in the state of Washington, we got two senators here. They're Democrats. They're communists. They're just true communists. They could care less what the people have to say because we have the most unfair elections in the country right here in the state of Washington. These two nimrods are always voted in because there's cheating with the voting, with the mail-in ballots. That's the biggest scam around. But, you know, but see, no one's doing what their constituents want. We need to clean the slate and start fresh.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Well, I mean, even Representative Luna made that point just the other day, where she's basically, you know, kind of going into what we're saying about Thune here. You know, he's no longer considering on saving the SAVE Act.
For fact, the American people have told their senators what they want, both the Democrats and Republicans. I think the number for Democrats is over 71%. Even Fetterman came out in support of this, which we know that Fetterman might not align with us all the time, but on this issue, he's pretty good, and here's what his own people want. And so, again, this is something that the Senate is going to have to act on. But look, I'm not going to hold my breath. If I did, I'd probably pass out before the Senate decided to actually do something. And so what I'm anticipating is if they don't do the right thing, we're going to have to stick it on FISA. FISA's must pass. That's the only way we're going to get it done, but we will get it done. And it's good that Speaker Johnson is on the same page on this issue.
No shit. So if he's no longer, hold on. If he's no longer willing to save it, get somebody in there that's going to save it. Come on, guys. I mean, you know, are you going to fight for it on the right, or are you going to let it? Are you going to let it suffocate itself?
You know, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, if we know, and that's what ticks me off about him, because his constituents want that passed, but he don't care. I don't care. I'm a senator. I'm a leader. No, you're not a leader. You're a servant to the people. And
get this, Tom. right? Before we bring Dillon in here, and Dillon, I'd like to have your insights on this. The last vote was a motion to pass the amendment number 4732 on March 26th last month. Okay, it failed by a vote of 53 to 47. Okay, these were one of the three provisions that President Trump was pushing to include in the final law. That was last month. It failed. Okay, why did it fail? We can go into why it failed, but it failed.
We have a rhino problem in the Senate, and we have somewhat of a rhino problem in the House.
Yeah, that's a damn certain. Yeah,
we have, again, I go back to what I said earlier. We need to have people participate in the Republican primary, and that includes vote in every election. So if we want stuff to change in our offices in Washington, then we have to have people participate in the Republican primary. And if I hear the excuse of, oh, there's fraud and this and that. Listen, I don't doubt that there is fraud in our elections.
There is fraud. I agree with you. Yeah.
We totally agree that there's fraud. Okay, even there's somewhat fraud here in Iowa. I mean, in Iowa has some of the strongest election laws. I don't expect perfect. I at least expect close to perfect elections, at least. We always aim for perfect. Iowa has some of the best election laws in the country, but we still have problems with our elections because we still have these machines. But what I want people to know is that you do have the power to change what's going on in Washington. That is called participating in your Republican primary. We need you to vote in the Republican primary. We need you to know who you're voting for. And if you choose to not participate in the Republican primary and you go scream at your TV on Fox News because your representative voted against something, then I don't want to hear from you.
I mean, your part.
I have been in this game for 5 years advocating and trying to get conservatives elected. And I'm just really sick and tired of the complaints and the do nothing. And then all of a sudden, when the time comes around where we can actually change for the good, then people are like, oh, I'm not voting this year. Well, okay. Well, I thought you wanted so-and-so to move.
Well, here's the thing, Dillon. Okay. Like you just said, you don't want to hear excuses because the reason why, and I'm the same way, I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear that you're complaining about the voter ID, all that other stuff. I don't want to hear it because here's the thing. If you're not planning to do something about it, then you're part of the problem, my friend. And that goes for anybody that's listening into the show.
And by the way, anybody who misses an election votes Democrat. So that's I just want to put that out there.
That's automatically, yeah. If you don't cast that ballot, does your voice still matter? Well, technically, no, it doesn't matter because you didn't contribute to what you're supposed to do as a duly citizen of the country. You should vote. Why aren't you voting? I don't understand why people don't vote.
And mind you, there is so many ways that you can go out and vote. You have early voting. You have mail-in voting. You have election day. You have weeks and weeks and weeks of voting. So people can spare me, oh, I didn't have time to vote. Well, you had early voting this time, you had mail-in voting this time, and you had election day on this time.
Yeah.
So how the heck did you not have time to go out, fill out a piece of paper, and put it in the system? How the heck did you not have time to do that? Like, it takes me, like, I will literally drive down on to my auditor's office, which is 10 minutes away from where I live, and I'm going to go cast my ballot on May 13th for the Republican primary. Yeah. Like it is, and you have people posting online when the elections are, where it is, and if you need help with your polling location, there's so many ways you can look that up.
Dillon, here's the thing, if I may interject, They have all that opportunity. They have all the opportunity in the world, but yet alone you hear the excuse after excuse. Oh, well, I have to work. Some companies will allow that. They'll actually pay you more or less to take a half a day off to go to, the voting precincts to go cast your ballot. You have all that. Like you just heard from Dillon, you can do the mail-in ballots, which I kind of agree with President Trump. There is some scaly stuff right there.
I don't agree necessarily with the mail-in ballot method. But here's the thing: is if you can go in person early voting, which is available, by the way, I think in every state. I think so. Just depending on the time, there is in-person early voting. And if you can go in person and cast your ballot and know you did, then you should go do that.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities for you to go out and cast a vote. And I really get sick and tired of hearing people, I didn't have time to go cast a ballot. Well, you didn't have time to go cast a ballot when the auditor's office was open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You didn't have time to go do that?
That's just an excuse. That's just an excuse. Because you know
how they go. Go cast your ballot from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
You didn't have time for that?
Yeah. See, this is what I like about this guy here, Tom. And I mean, trust me, Dillon, I'm not kissing your ass by any means necessarily, but I can tell you that you're a fighter. And that's what I like about him, Tom. He's a fighter. And the reason why I say he's a fighter, I know he's a fighter for his party, is because this gentleman here, this young man, I don't have the exact numbers, but I know you helped basically make some calls for President Trump with the Republican Party just about like a year ago. Was that a year or 2 years ago?
It was during the Iowa caucuses. I made 95,000 phone calls and knocked a few thousand doors. And I also made I made probably 1,000 or 2,000 phone calls out after the Iowa caucuses for certain states. But however, then I just helped the legislative campaign after that.
But the reason why I bring that up, Tom, okay, is this young man named Dillon here, okay, he after he did that, it caught some eyes from conservative media figures such as Scott Pressler. And the video went viral actually on X. And he was even surprised by what you did. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, we're not talking about a few hundred, folks. We're talking about thousands upon thousands. That's a statement. When you do that, that's making a statement for your party. And I encourage anybody, not just Dillon here, other people, if you're willing to be part of this amazing movement called the conservative, the Republican movement, MAGA, however you want to label it, do something similar like this. Please save our country, because our country is in the grips of evil. I was going to use another word, but I'll just use evil. We have to turn this country around. I mean, I don't know how else I can have to emphasize this, Tom, but we do. There's no other words for it.
Well, all I got to say is all this talk about voting and getting out and voting and doing all this and doing everything you can is all for naught when you're up against another party that doesn't do anything but cheat. Because if they can't cheat, they're not winning. And unless we put things out, we've got to stop them from cheating. We've got to stop. And how do you do that? We have voter IDs. You got to show your ID to vote. You got to have limits on all the mail-in balloting. You got to stop the ballot harvesting that goes on. I mean, we can get everybody and get them all pumped and get them to go to the polls and vote and vote and vote. But if we're not stopping these idiots from cheating, it's all for naught. Because we'll have, just like it did when Trump ran the second time, we're leading. Oh, we need to stop counts. And then next thing you know, there's that big spike. You have hundreds of thousands of votes all of a sudden showing up that are all for the Democrat Party. Oh, where did these come
the
from?
thing is, we can't make that mistake. I live in the state of Georgia, folks. You seen what happened with Fulton County. We can't have another Fulton County incident with the bullshit water line or something. Some toilet or something exploded, or somebody might have put too much toilet paper in the damn toilet. Who the hell knows? We can't have that stupid crap anymore. We can't have malice type of activity. Okay, we can't have that. This is the United States of America, the most beautiful, precious country in the world. And we can't be looked at as an embarrassment any longer. Just because we don't agree with our neighbors on political messages doesn't necessarily mean we have to live like that forever. We can't. We have to turn this around, or we are going to be on that list as a failed empire of other failed empires in history, with the Greek Empire, with all that, Roman Empire, all collapsed. Do you want to be part of that history? I certainly don't want to be part of that history.
We can't have voting machines that flip the votes on everybody after they voted. We can't have that, Yeah. We've got to have an honest, level field voting. If we had that, I know, okay, I'm sure there's going to be some degree of cheating. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be. But if we could control it to the best that we can, a Democrat would never win another election in this country.
Absolutely.
Because it's like I always say, Democrats, if Democrats ain't cheating, they ain't winning.
Now another thing I wanted to talk to you about, Dillon, because I went onto your website there, and I know you're running on several issues, including education and public safety. The reason why I want to touch on public safety there is because we kind of brought that in the beginning of the show here. With what happened this past weekend up in Washington at the Hilton there, that could have been very tragic, folks. And I'm glad everybody was okay. The President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and the members of the cabinet. I mean, how do you see? Like I said, I got a little bit of how you see the tensions. We got into that, but I also want to go into other avenues with you. With maybe in your aspects of how you view it or how you're experiencing it, with the rise and what's leading up to some of these events. I mean, because now we're talking about 3 events that could have cost, the life of the president, including members of his staff, and then other incidents too. Charlie Kirk, just to name a few. What do you think is going on?
I think going back to what I said earlier, I think we're fighting a battle of good versus evil. Charlie Kirk talked about that many times. Yeah. When the left is calling you a Nazi, a racist, a fascist, and some of the worst names that you can call a human being, that will unfortunately motivate a crazy person like we saw with Charlie Kirk to go kill them.
Real talk on Savage,
really is,
Unfiltered.
It is really sad that the radical left Democrat Party has chosen the evil rhetoric, as I mentioned, that causes a crazy person to try and go assassinate a president and assassinate a Republican. And it really just goes to show that the left wing, that the violence is on the left wing side. This is not a both sides issue. And in anybody who's saying it's a both sides issue is avoiding accountability.
I like how you brought that in. It's not two sides, folks.
No.
I mean, if you're seeing it on two sides, again, I'll bring in some of my journalism type of experience here. Show me the receipts. Show me one receipt that is coming from the right side.
Show me one Democrat that's had assassination attempt. Show me one.
Yeah. But also too, I will admit, yes, there may be some radical right-wing extremists, that are not there in the head, but they might be backwards. But again, are they Republicans? No, that would be, in my personal opinion, rhinos. Okay?
Well, here's a difference between us and the Democrats. If you had a person from the MAGA movement or any faction of the Republican Party, and they went out and called a person in our party a fascist, a Nazi, or whatever, we would immediately condemn them in this party, and we would probably kick them out of our party. The difference between us and the Democrats is that the Democrats have literal free reign to literally go call somebody a very bad name. I don't know if bad is even the word to use, but I'm just using it for this context. A really horrible name. And then they will not be held accountable, because if a person from the reasonable wing of the Democrats, which is no longer a thing anymore, goes out and holds that person accountable, then the party's going to come down on the person holding that person accountable, and that person holding that person accountable is the one in trouble. It's the Democrat Party. There was no free speech in the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party will literally go out and say these violent things, and there will be no accountability compared to the Republicans, where we will hold somebody accountable for their actions if they're a part of our party. That is the biggest difference. And when people say it's a both sides thing, they are avoiding they are avoiding holding the left accountable for the stuff that they say.
Yeah.
And if a Republican said that, then the media and the freaking people in the middle and everybody from God knows where would be holding that person accountable for saying that thing.
That's the thing. Like,
but they won't hold the Democrat accountable, because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, you got big figureheads out there that will say the same thing. Like those on the right. We can call them all the names in the book, right? Just as a defensive mechanism, right? Like, I mean, you could have the president of the United States. He said it once before. He called up Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig. Oh my God, he's a male chauvinist. This and that.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
But the world's coming in. Yeah.
I'm just saying, folks. You don't. I mean, those are little names. I mean, is the president again? Mr. President's probably doing it for like theatrics. I mean, I'm sure. Just to say that, folks. But you don't see the president going on national televised events and programming like Maxine Waters a few years back, saying, if you see them at a gasoline parlor, if you see them at a convenience store, you tell them that they're no longer welcomed here. You push, folks.
Yeah, where's the leadership getting a hold of those people and telling them to shut the hell up?
Exactly, Tom. If that is not either provoking, inciting, or encouraging violence through their words, that I don't know what is.
I know.
You will not see any of us use that type of radical demeanor in our vocabulary. We won't.
Well, you won't hear me on this show use it, but
I mean, but Tom, you're not going on street corners. I mean, even on the show, we don't orchestrated or practice that like Dillon's saying. We're not going out in full force, and we're not encouring it.
That was a little attempt at light humor.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I wanted to go back. Sorry about that. You want to finish your point?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I was going to say, because I want to go back to Tom's point on the elections and fraud and everything else. There's actually an antidote to that. And, if we're not in the power to pass those good election laws, then we obviously need to be too big to rig.
Exactly.
Like we did in 2024.
Totally.
And we need to use every single method of voting. I prefer election day. If you can go vote on election day or go vote early, go vote early. Okay, get your vote in. We need to be too big to rig, and we need to run the kind of operation we did in 2024 in every single election, because we will win every single election that way. That is the antidote to the problem. And if we cannot get up off of our butts and go vote, and listen, I understand Republicans are not perfect. I understand that some Republicans are not the best. But here's the thing is, this is my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people, even reasonable people, can agree with this. I would rather have somebody like a rhino who I can get to blow in my direction and vote on the thing that I want than have a radical left insane person who's representing me, who I know that even if I tried to bribe them with the most luxurious thing in the world, they would still not vote for my stuff. I would rather have that person who I can reason with and who I can bring over to my side than have the person who's going to be the most radical left, crazy person you could probably imagine. I think you guys can all agree with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the Republican Party can actually reason with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Democrat Party cannot.
I could, I'm a conservative. Okay.
Same here.
I'm a little sometimes hot steam sometimes, but it's
same here.
What I've been noticing in the last 15 years of our country. But I could reason with certain degree of Democrats, okay? Because not all Democrats are bad. You look at your John Fetterman's. John Fetterman is more or less opening it up a little bit, and he's understanding a little bit. I mean, if anything, he's the Democrats that we would want to talk to 30, 40 years ago. I mean, seriously, he's resurrecting the Democratic Party 30, 40 years ago, Dillon. Exactly. If you want to put it to a point, a small little point. But
I agree with you in regard to the Fetterman point, but here's the thing is, John Fetterman is not going to be a senator for long. If you look at his approval rating in the Democrat Party, he's not well approved of his voters. And I hate to say it, but John Fetterman's not going to be in the Democrat Party for long.
Well, if he was smart, he would red pill and go over to the right. I've been saying that for like the last 3 years now.
Yeah.
John Fetterman is like a Joe Manchin right now. John Fetterman does not align with the Republican platform and what the Republican platform stands for. John Fetterman, I know, loves this country just as much as you, me, and Tom do. And a lot of Americans around this nation do. But here's the thing is, John Fetterman is not ready to become a Republican. And personally, I would not even vote for John Fetterman. The reason I would not vote for John Fetterman is because he does not align with the Republican Party platform in which all of us, I think, love and cherish. It's common sense, God, family, country. And the only thing that John Fetterman is missing is the God part. And the other things about cutting taxes. John Fetterman's for raising taxes. Like, if we just go down to the brass tacks and go down each of the checklist items, John Fetterman is probably going to line up with less than 20% of it. I
get what you're saying.
Those are the things that I'm saying. And John Fetterman would actually probably benefit more if he was an independent like Senator Joe Manchin is. Because Joe Manchin is not ready to become a Republican either. He's still a blue dog Democrat who still believes in those things that we just talked about. Like those old 40 years ago Jimmy Carter type policies.
I'm more or less going back, not to Carter, but I'm going back a little bit more. I could see some similarities with him and JFK, and I'm not being funny here. I'm actually being serious. There were some comments, small comments made from Fetterman over the course of the last few years that
I think
aligned himself with JFK to a degree, a small. I wouldn't give it a high degree. I would give it a very, very small degree.
I think he's more of a Tulsi Gabbard.
You think so, a Tulsi? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but
Tulsi Gabbard is still liberal on abortion. She's still liberal on some key conservative issues.
She is. I mean, we're still trying to wake Tulsi up a little bit. I mean, she's come a long way.
I love Tulsi, by the way,
from where she came from. But yeah.
I love Tulsi. I think she's doing a great job. But I think it's good to acknowledge that while we get excited about these people, and I would totally welcome John Fetterman into the Republican Party if he wants to become a Republican. But however, he's on his probation period when he starts to become a Republican.
Everybody should be on a probationary period. I mean, again.
And Tulsi is still on hers, by the way.
Well, yeah, anybody can write something on a piece of paper, Dillon. I mean, you can have handlers write it on, but I mean, write it on a piece of paper or a script, but can you represent what's on that script?
Exactly.
That's the probationary period that I would like to see. Yeah. But as we close up with you, Dillon, I like you, buddy. You're a fighter, and that's what we need. We need more people like you, young people. I've had several other young men on here, such as yourself, a good friend of mine out in Wisconsin. Sadly, he lost that race. He was running for a local seat. But people like you, he was beat by the regime, the radical regime, of course. They'll fight. They'll fight and argue, and we don't like how our state is running. Oh, okay, you got a choice. Vote against that. It's common sense. Vote against that. I don't want to hear your crap that you're tired of dealing with this and this and that. You got a choice. You can vote against it. But then again, those are the people that constantly complain that, I have high taxes, my rent's going up, this and this and this. Why is this that? Well, it's that because people like you continue to vote for it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's common sense, folks. You're taught that when you're like, 5, 6 years old?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like if you want to stay away from politics, you stay out of the kitchen, right? If you don't want to burn your hand, you stay away from the stove.
More or less.
It's simple as that.
More or less.
If you and by the way, I just want to go back to something that I said earlier. If you do not you do not have to do the things that I am doing and running for office. Running for office is not meant for everybody. And if you feel that the Lord is calling you to do it, go do it. But if you're going to do it right. And the thing I would recommend, if you want to get involved in politics, please surround yourself with the right people and make sure they are the right people. Stick to the right cause, which is America first. And you need you don't have to be involved in activism or running for office. But all I ask is that you vote in every election. You vote in every election that goes from federal to state to local. And that's what is going to change the system, is if we all participate. And we need to win this thing. But obviously Democrats can stay home.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you the best of luck going forward, Dillon, and head over to his website, DillonFillion.com. We'll put in the show notes for our audio listeners out there, guys. Join Dillon on this journey of his movement it's very strong. Dillon Fillion for Iowa House. And I like how you put that on the bottom, which I'd like to see. Keep Iowa great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not only keep Iowa great, guys, but we got to keep America great. We have to save our nation.
And we have to do it one state at a time, people. We need to get our states changed, and our states change, and then our country will change.
Yes. I also wanted to let you guys know and update you guys on some important Iowa elections here we have going on here. we have a very huge governor election coming up here on June 2nd is a Republican primary. California also has their primary on the same day, if you're not aware. But we have 5 candidates running to be the governor. One is the establishment candidate. Okay, the establishment is trying to push, obviously, their candidate. And we have 4 great conservatives who are running to serve as our next governor. And they're all my friends. I know all 5 of the candidates. I think all of them are great people, but there's only 4 I would pick from. Their names are Adam Steen, Eddie Andrews, Brad Sherman, and Zach Lane. All 4 are great. I'd recommend you come out and vote for either of the 4. However, we are facing a Democrat machine here in Iowa. The Democrats are starting to load up their money machine here. We have the Reid Hoffman candidate, also known as Rob Sand, and he's also funded by J.B. Pritzker as well. J.B. Pritzker gave him 2 things of $50,000.
Jeez.
This guy is being funded by radical left organizations. And this guy is coming out and acting as if he is a conservative, moderate, Christian, somewhat Democrat.
I heard that bullshit before, Dillon.
This guy is a radical left lunatic, and there is nothing conservative about this guy. This guy will destroy our state if this guy gets in power. And that is why it is so important we pick the right nominee, because if we don't have the right nominee, he will be our governor. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth, and we need to speak the truth.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened up in New York City. My God, they elected a communist, for God's sakes. Jeez.
People need to pay attention. Pay attention to who you're voting for. And the way these Democrats are running, they're trying to change and pretend to be conservatives, that tells me that they're scared. They're scared that they ain't
Look at Abigail Spanberger. Tell me she's a moderate right now. It's so funny.
Yeah.
They put this on the paper to try to get, the base a little stronger than what it is. I mean, come on. Seriously. I mean, you got to read these people like they're wallpaper, Don't
it's like putting lipstick on a pig and saying the pig is a human, right? Even though that's not the truth, right?
Don't say you'll be upsetting all the pronoun people. The pronoun police will be coming after you, Dillon.
And the pronoun people can kiss my rear end. But anyway.
Yeah.
I love you. There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dillon, I wish you the best of luck going forward, guys. Vote for Dillon. This man's going to change some things, and I hope to see you. I hope to see you fill that seat. I really do, Dillon.
Yeah, I hope to see
Thank you guys,
there, and I hope to see you in the federal area too. I love seeing these young guys coming up, man. That we need to get all these old guys out of the government and get you young guys in there running the show. I'm totally behind you, Dillon.
Hey, you're talking about all the dinosaurs, right? We got to get all the dinosaurs out of Washington. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Well, one primary at a time, one vote at a time, and we will make America great again. So that's the way we do it. So guys, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. If your audience is interested in donating to my campaign or sharing my information out, they can go to DillonPhillion.com and they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X at DillonPhillionIA.
Wow. You're all over the place, Dillon. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show today. Wow. That's amazing, young man. Any final closing remarks, Tom, before we kind of close out with them?
No, we just can't sit back and wait for other people to fix things. We've got to do it. And starting at local level, state level, federal level, he's very right on when he says you have to vote. He's
passionate, man. I mean, if we can get the young people like him,
exactly,
with the words, with the verbiage and everything else, my God, man, there's nothing stopping this beautiful movement called the Republican Party.
I hear you.
It's bigger than a movement because it's not about a movement, folks. Let me correct words if you're going to, for my liberal audience out there that want to spin things, okay? I hate doing that, Tom. I hate challenging these idiots, but we have to. We have to go into the fucking, I'm not going to sound like a hypocrite. We have to go into the lion's den with these idiots.
Yes.
And we have to, folks, we have to fight like no tomorrow. Like, you have to fight like it's your own personal piece of property, because America is not only your home, but it should be looked as a precious piece of property that you cherish and love. That's the tension, and not the tension, but that's the momentum. That's the attitude that you should be having upstairs here.
Yes, exactly.
Protect it like it's your own precious piece of property, because there's no other country in this world that we could start all over. There's no other country.
Mm-mm.
What do you want to go back to England and put up with all that? That's what we fought about, right? All your bullshit, no kings protest, right? Oh, no kings. No. Well, there was a king in America earlier today, folks. Where the hell were you on that one? Just a little side humor. They weren't nowhere because the paid organizers didn't tell them to march.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, Tom, it's like I said, it's been an interesting week of politics here.
I know.
Yeah. Real interesting week.
I need to unwind from all the political stuff.
I got to settle down a little bit, or I'm just going to go like a tea kettle, man.
Well, yeah, it's hard to, though. I mean, because you see what's going on, and you just don't. There's a lot of unanswered things.
That's right.
We don't understand. We're all supposed to be like the Senate, with all the. You got the GOP's in control. Well, why don't they act like it?
Yeah.
Why don't they act like it?
Yeah. And he's running on some good stuff, Dillon. Protecting home ownership, public safety, education. I know we didn't get too much into education or protecting home ownership, but I mean, he's got a lot of good issues. Public safety.
Good.
I like that the public safety is on there.
He's a smart young man.
Yeah, because that's something that we have to focus on, this public safety. We have to get law and order back in this nation again, folks.
Exactly.
You have to get accountability, and I love how he uses accountability.
Right.
That's missing in this nation. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Gardner, known as Savage. This is the old man, known as Tom here. You can check him out on his podcast, The Old Man's Podcast, available on Podbean. Throughout the week, he has different programs with the Old Man's Podcast, Grammys Week Ahead, as well as the Jim Rock Show, which you can also catch on ridetimeradio.com out there in the Canary Islands. So a lot of different options how you can check out me and Tom here on the show. And of course, guys, we will be putting out our brand new website. That's right, guys. The brand new website will be launched.
Nice.
Tibbs, do you have the date? Okay. The middle of May.
Nice.
Around May 15th, May 20th. Look out for that brand new website. Okay. As well as some new merchandise that's going to be on savageshop.com. That's savaged with a D at the end, and then shop.com. Check out all my political stuff, including Tom's exclusive old man merchandise on there. So got a lot of stuff, guys, how you can contribute to the show. And then also to know, guys, the sales that we receive from savageshop.com, I take out a portion of that, okay, and I contribute to organizations such as Wounded Warriors Project, Tunnels to Towers, and other well-deserved organizations out there. I'm always about giving back, folks. So, but just not Tom stuff. I give that. I'm just anyway, guys, take it easy, guys, and we'll see you next time on the show, guys. Be safe out there, guys.
Later, guys.
This had been a Truth Productions media episode. Thank you for listening.